Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about my everyday photography carry. Now, my name is Roy Riley. I'm a professional photographer, and as such I use a variety of different camera equipment and bags and carrying systems, whatever is the right tool for the job, for whatever assignment it is that I'm doing. But also I'm an enthusiastic amateur photographer. And so I'm constantly looking for a bag that I can just throw the sort of smallest amount of essential camera equipment into for going out and about, taking pictures when I'm just kind of in my everyday mode. Not shooting specifically for clients, just for fun really, but also if a picture opportunity comes along that I think I could make commercial for whatever reason, then I will take it. So I kind of want to always have the bare minimum camera equipment with me without lugging loads of roller bags and pelly boxes and whatever with me. However, this thing has also become kind of my core professional photography assignment bag as well. Now, Mr. Higgins, one of my regular viewers, who's a great photographer in his own right, recommended this bag to me. It's the Thinktank Retrospective 10, and it also has on the side a Thinktank medium lens pouch, I think, and that just gives it a little bit of extra size. So I'll just talk about each of the different things, the bag, the pouch, the stuff that's inside it. I won't go into too much detail, I'll just unpack it, show you. So the bag itself, I've been a big fan of shoulder bags and I've had a boatload of them over the years. I kind of settled on the Domke F2 as my sort of standard shoulder bag, and I used one of those things for God knows how many years. I loved the way that that hugged the body, I loved the way that you could fit quite a lot of stuff into it, and I liked the way that it was very discreet. Very comfortable to carry. However, this thing I think is a very worthy successor to it. It's very comfortable to carry, a little bit smaller maybe. It's nice and soft. I've been throwing it around for the last few months and I've come to love it, to be perfectly honest. It has some very clever features. And the first being, there are different versions of this bag. This is the Retrospective 10, this is the V1. I bought this second hand, I think it's about £50, £60, something like that, in quite good condition. And the Retrospective 10 just fits the perfect size of it. It's not too small and it's not too big. If you have a big camera bag for your everyday kind of wanderings as a photographer, you'll just fill it with stuff and it'll be too heavy and you'll end up with back problems and probably not even taking it. And if it's too small, again, you'll be frustrated because you won't have the stuff with you that you need when an opportunity arises. So to me, this is kind of a real sweet spot and it's really comfortable to carry. It has this great big padded, lovely shoulder pad. Also has a sort of top mounted hand grip, which are all very useful, and it seems to be tough and rugged. I've been throwing it around, no problem at all. Has this wonderful feature of adjustable Velcro, which means that, which sounds silly, but it works, it really does. Because you want your camera bag to be easily accessible, but not too easily accessible, so that stuff flies out if you happen to sort of knock it over or something. And that means that this means that you can adjust the Velcro to your liking. So you could have it in super secure mode if you wanted to, where when it flaps down, all of that Velcro is going to hold on and it's going to take a rhinoceros to get it off. You could throw this thing down a mountain and I wouldn't guarantee that that's going to be the case, but you get my drift. Or you can turn it into kind of really easy access where you kind of cover most of the Velcro, so it just kind of kisses that tab and it will come open really easily, but it will just kind of hold on just enough. Or you could in fact cover it off completely so that there is no Velcro and it just flaps over the top. It's your choice. I've found the sweet spot, it's quite noisy, is about sort of 2/3 covered, and that means that it grips enough so that my gear's not going to come out, but is easy enough to gain access. And that is really cool. Good Lord. I mean, that is really cool. After years of having, like, if anyone's familiar with those Domke metal buckles, good Lord. Okay, so that's the bag. Let's talk a little bit about the pouch. I've put this pouch on the side, Mr. Higgins' suggestion again, and it's a great idea because it just expands the bag a little bit. It doesn't really add any weight to it, but it kind of gives you a spare hand. If you happen to find yourself with a lens or a filter or something in your hand that you don't know what to do with, you can just stick it in there and it's really, really useful. Also, water bottle, if you're that way inclined, because we need to, stay hydrated, people. And the pouch has these little nets on the side, which is very cool for sticking lens caps and stuff like that into. On the side of the bag, you have two very slim little pockets. On this side, I have my key rings. I put my keys in there because it's really quite a tight pocket, so not much falls out. And in here we've got a little Swiss Army knife and we've got my little torch and we've got a little USB-C data and charging lead, which means I can take that off and I can plug that into my phone if I need to transfer any pictures from a camera, or in fact I can charge things up with it. It's very useful. In the back here I have a journal because I'm really into drawing, writing and getting information down on paper. I have a bunch of these different sizes, all kinds of different things, and I'm really enjoying using that and carrying those. Also, a phone is kind of, you know, always going to have a phone in there, right? Let's turn it on its side a little bit so that I'll unpack it now. Open we come. Okay, so in here, my main camera, I only got one camera body in here, and it is the R6 Mark III, which is a relatively new camera to me. I've been using it for about the last 6 months, and I'm really happy with it. I won't go too much into detail about the camera. I'll do another review video of it when I've sort of really built up my total opinion. But my first impressions are that it's wonderful. I think Canon are definitely back with their colour. I really like the files from it. I don't need to do much post-production with this camera. It's a sweet spot of resolution, 30 megapixels, which is sort of sits somewhere between the R5 that I've got and the R8. I've been really enjoying using it because it just kind of works. And I really do, you know, the Canon 5D Mark III was my favourite of the 5D cameras, and it's funny that this is a Mark III as well. It just feels evolved and able to do the job, gets the job done. All of the controls are a little bit more, let's say, evolved than the other cameras. They're all in the right place. You don't have to think about where things are. I kind of just want two of them really, so that I don't have to sort of learn two different menu systems. A niggle with it is that the batteries are expensive. It's a new type of battery. The batteries are expensive and they don't last particularly well. I'd say they last less well than the R5 in my experience. I'm walking around with sort of 3 or 4 of them and they do flatten, that's for sure. I'm not quite sure why it is. The EVF and the screen are slightly smaller than the R5. You'd expect that because it's a bit cheaper. The pre-capture is wonderful. It just is almost kind of criminal. Works really well, and it works really well in post-production as well, so you don't have to sort of sift through the pictures in the camera like you had to with the R8 or use DPP. I'm a Lightroom user, but it doesn't work with EF adapted lenses. So if you've got a big white glass from EF days, a 300-2.8 or whatever, it won't work with pre-capture. It'll work with normal focus, but you won't get the high frame rate and you won't get pre-capture, and that's annoying. I didn't actually know that before I bought it. I think that could really upset a lot of people. Other than that, for most uses, it's amazing. Autofocus, great. High ISO, great. Dynamic range, great. So I'm happy with the R6 Mark III. On this camera, we have the 14 to 35mm. This is a sweet spot wide-angle lens for me. I've been using this for about 4 years. It's been super reliable, super sharp, does what it needs to do, and I love the focal range. Fits really nicely into the hand. It's a great lens. Would recommend it to anybody. On the front of here, I have a Freewell filter mount, which I'll talk about some filters in a minute. Also in here, I have my new, again, relatively new to me, Canon 70-200 f4 RF. Now, I've been a big fan of the old EF 70-200 2.8, and I've been using it on all of my DSLRs for years, and then I adapted it onto my Canon R cameras because I just like that lens. But it is heavy, and it is big, and it is annoying, and I borrowed one of these things from Canon a few years ago and really liked it, but couldn't quite get over the 70-200 2.8 thing. And that RF 2.8 version is just expensive. It always felt a little bit too out of reach for me, and it sort of had some mixed reviews. So I just hung on and I adapted my 70-200 and was quite happy with it. And then I can't remember why, but I just ended up picking up one of these and I have not regretted it. It is so nice and easy to use. Lightweight, small, very adaptable. The sharp at f4, wide open, sharp all everywhere, just works really well. It's quite a boring lens. There's nothing kind of interesting about it. It just does what it needs to do. And I haven't missed my 70-200 2.8 at all, to be perfectly honest. I'm sure that day will arrive in the winter when it's dark and I have something to shoot where it is really, 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 really dark, and then I will miss that extra stop, but it hasn't happened so far. I might, on occasion, within this bag, flip this out for the 100 to 400, specifically if it's bright, because the extra reach of this is phenomenal. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying the flexibility of the 70-200 f4. Don't have a mid-range zoom in here. I use that 24 to 105 all the time for my paid work, but when I'm just out and about, the lens that I quite often have with me is the 50mm. Canon RF 50mm 1.8, pretty standard. I don't actually like it. I've had all of the other all the other Canon 50mm 1.8s, nifty 50s, and this is annoying. I don't know why in particular. I can't quite put my finger on it, which is why I haven't actually made a review of it yet. It's got this control on it. You're never quite sure whether it's in manual focus mode or control ring mode, and it's kind of hunty autofocus and a little bit noisy. And just a little bit annoying, to be perfectly honest. Quite often I'll pick up the 50mm 1.8 STM or the Sigma Art 50 1.4 instead, and I prefer both of those, even though they're bigger and heavier and more annoying with the adapter. But in a little lightweight kit like this for everyday photography, it's small and light and just kind of fits in there. Perfect, no problem. What else do we have? Okay, so I mentioned filters earlier, and Freewell actually sent me this. It's called the Dunna Did It Ultra Slim Locking Photography Kit. And this has been wonderful. I've been using this for the last few months. I'm a very keen filter photographer. I like having them around for when the situation demands it, I guess. Now, my old system was a bit bigger, a bit bulkier, and so I wouldn't typically have them with me when I'm just out and about, just going off on a little photography walk or, you know, going out and about. But this is so small because in here, it comes with a case. I don't use the case. I'm a bit of a beast with filters. I just kind of want to use them. I'd rather use them and get the picture than worry about scratching them. But this is great because you get a hard cover on both sides. So you get this little stack of filters that are all magnetic. And in here you have a polarizer, a UV filter, a silver mist filter, an ND10 stop and an ND6 stop, all within this tiny little case. Now I used these the other day when I was out and about, and I will put a bit of B-roll up on the screen of me kind of out in the wild, I guess. To be honest, I had a bit of a photography block for a while. I couldn't get inspiration for anything. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, of going out wanting to shoot but not really knowing what to shoot, not feeling the inspiration, just not feeling it. And you wander around with your camera and you feel like you're taking the same old pictures and you feel like all of your pictures are boring and there's nothing of interest, you're not bringing anything new to the table. Over the years this has happened to me a few times and there are various ways out of it, and that's a whole other story. But on this occasion, this little set of filters actually dragged me out of my photographer's block because I started to think about how I could use them to control light, to use the ND filters to allow me to use a slower shutter speed to bring blur into the pictures, and just play with photography in the way that photography kind of should be, of playing around, trying different things, seeing what works. I had to sort of jury-rig the camera at one point because I didn't have a tripod with me in order to hold it steady so that I could use the ND filter and get a really slow shutter speed. I then tried playing with the polarizer to kind of change the colour of the sky and reflections. And that kind of is a phenomenal thing. And I'll just show you a few of the different pictures and the different effects just randomly within Lightroom so you can see. Okay, so this is my first frame, shot at 30 seconds using the ND filters. I think there's almost too much blur in here, and I don't like the fact that there's sort of front to back sharpness because of the aperture. So in the next frame, I actually opened up the aperture a lot more, used ND filters again to control the light, and set a bit faster shutter speed of, I think, 1/8 of a second, which just allowed for this part of the rope to remain sharp, but for us to kind of capture the movement in this kick of the weed, which I think really helps. And I really like the fact that we've got some background blur, so we get some subject isolation. And I feel this picture works really well because of the creative input of the filters. The next frame here proves the point of the polarizer because it's really enhanced the colour in this green, brought out the blue, brought out the red, and just, I really like this picture. I think it kind of really sums up how I felt on the day that I was there. I don't have an unpolarized one to show you, forgot to take it, but that's neither here nor there. The next frame is again a polarized image. This is the non-polarized picture, and you can see we have this glare up here around the R of the graffiti. And then when we there's not really a lot you can do about that. It's just the angle of the light. But we bung a polarizer on, and bang! Look at that. We've got better saturation. We've got no glare or reduced glare and darker skies, and I think that looks great. All it needs is someone standing up here waving their arms around, and we'd have had a really cracking picture. The next example is again using the polarizer, where this is non-polarized, where we can see you've got the reflection of the sky and not such good saturation color, and yet we bung on the polarizer. Obviously it's a slightly different moment because I've had to take the pictures a few seconds apart, but I much prefer this one. It has much more, to me it has much more depth, and it really brings out the colors. Really enjoyed using these, and these will stay with me for a while, that is for sure. You're not gonna prize these out of my hands because it just kind of works. You just pull it apart, you snap the filter on that you want onto the front, and off you go. Absolutely brilliant. So I will leave a link to this in the description below with a 10% discount if you're interested. They do a couple of different versions, various different filter sizes, only just launched. Well worth having a look, people. And in this tiny little front pocket, I've got an entire vlogging kit. I've got an action camera on a little stand, which is kind of not the best thing in the world, but it acts as a selfie stick if you want it to. And then if you just need to stand the camera up, it acts as a little tripod as well, which is actually really easy to deploy, really handy and really small because it kind of fits into there. I also have an Osmo Pocket 3, is that right? Or 2, can't remember. The little stabilized camera is just phenomenal with the DJI mic. Incredible, people. And it's got that little mount on the bottom, which means that I can put it onto any of the magnetic mounts that you might want. Spare batteries. And then I have a bunch of Canon batteries in there as well. I've got 3 or 4, and that seems to be more than enough for a little kit like this. And that is about it. There's a little pocket in the back. You could put an iPad into there if you want to, but I just kind of don't, with a kit like this, I don't want to be dragging a laptop or an iPad around, because it's just about getting out and taking pictures, basically. That's what I have a bag like this for. And it's funny how, when I look at this setup of camera, wide-angle zoom, 70 to 200, 50mm 1.8, actually that forms the backbone of 90% of what I've used, as in the gear that does the heavy lifting, for probably the last 3 decades. So many of my photography assignments all over the world have been completed with other stuff as well, but kind of this is the backbone. So it's interesting how you can try a bunch of different things. You can try using different approaches, you can try using different lenses and different setups, but for me, I always sort of come back to this kind of similar setup, and it's kind of interesting that in 2026 to me that this is still roughly the same as I was in probably 2006, 1996. Good Lord, 1986 even, I guess. Anyway, look, obviously things have changed, pre-capture, for Christ's sake. I mean, holy smoke, people, that is phenomenal technology. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. See you again soon. Bye-bye.